In the last couple months, we have seen a purging of top editors and producers from various news outlets. Recently, we have also seen some respected journalists quitting their jobs because they no longer have faith in the journalistic profession. Now, at a time when big media is so blatantly biased, either left or right, and respected journalists are quitting, is journalism dead in America? Let's get into it. Bari Weiss was a writer and editor at the Wall Street Journal until she was hired at the New York Times. She was hired because the New York Times completely missed the 2016 victory that Trump had. They were all in on Hillary, and they said, oh, we are in an echo chamber. We need to have some conservative and centrist writers and editors. So they hired Bari Weiss, and she worked there for a couple of years, until recently when she quit. You see, instead of trying to understand her point of view and publishing everything that she wrote, her peers kept demonizing her. Now I'm going to read you one of parts of her resignation letter, but I encourage you to read the whole thing, because it's pretty crazy. My own forays into wrongthink have made me the subject of constant bullying by colleagues who disagree with my views. They have called me a Nazi and a racist. I have learned to brush off comments about how I'm writing about the Jews again. Several colleagues perceived to be friendly with me were badgered by co-workers. My work and my character are openly demeaned on company-wide Slack channels where mastered editors regularly weigh in. There, some coworkers insist I need to be rooted out of its company to be a truly inclusive one, while others post axe emojis next to my name. Still, other New York Times employees publicly smear me as a liar and a bigot on Twitter with no fear that harassing me will be met with appropriate action. They never are. I do not understand how you allowed this kind of behavior to go on inside your company in full view of the paper's entire staff and the public. And I certainly can't square how you and other Times leaders have stood by while simultaneously praising me in private for my courage. Showing up for work as a centrist at an American newspaper should not require bravery. Part of me wishes I could say that my experience was unique, but the truth is that intellectual curiosity, let alone risk-taking, is now a liability at times. The paper of record is, more and more, the record of those living in a distant galaxy, one whose concerns are profoundly removed from the lives of most people. This is a galaxy in which, to choose just a few examples, the Soviet space program is lauded for its diversity, the doxing of teenagers in the name of justice is condoned, and the worst caste system in human history includes the United States alongside Nazi Germany. My favorite line, which is quite telling of what media has become, is this. Twitter is not on the masthead of the New York Times, but it has become its ultimate editor. That's dark. It's a perfect example of a major media company only promoting one point of view. And then, like most Americans who don't really pay attention to politics every day because they're not that into it, they only see that point of view and they're never presented with an alternative. And that's dangerous. If that doesn't make you think that journalism is dead in America, how about this? Chris Cuomo, CNN's hotshot, along with Lemon Lime. Also, the brother of the great Andrew Cuomo. In his radio show, Chris said how he hated his job. He goes on to explain that his job isn't worth it because he indulges in hyper-bipartisanship and irrationality. Yeah, I agree with you, Chris. When word of his statements got around, Cuomo denied ever saying it. Only if there was audio.
I don't want to spend my time doing things that I don't think are valuable enough to me personally. Like what? Well, I don't like what I do professionally, I've decided. I like doing this show. I like talking to you guys. But I don't value indulging irrationality, hyperpartisanship. I don't think it's worth my time.
And then, of course, as a CNN employee usually does, he lied and said that he didn't mean it. Chris, you're the fakest of fake news, my dude. You wanted to be a journalist, but you chose CNN money over your principles. Nobody wants to hear you whine about it now, man. Ariana Picari was an MSNBC producer. Last week, she resigned and published her pretty harsh resignation letter. Pretty harsh, but pretty honest. In it, she writes, "We are a cancer and there is no cure." Let's read. As it is, this cancer stokes national division even in the middle of civil rights crisis. The model blocks diversity of thought and content because the networks have incentive to amplify fringe voices and events at the expense of others, all because it pumps up the ratings. This cancer risks human lives, even in the middle of a pandemic. The primary focus quickly became what Donald Trump was doing poorly to address the crisis, rather than the science itself. As new details have become available about antibodies, a vaccine, or how COVID actually spreads, producers still want to focus on the politics. Important facts or studies get buried. This cancer risks our democracy, even in the middle of a presidential election. Any discussion about the election usually focuses on Donald Trump, not Joe Biden, a repeat offense from 2016. Also important is to ensure citizens can vote by mail this year, but I watched that the topic get ignored or killed numerous times. Occasionally, the producers will choose to do a topic or story without regard for how they think it will rate, but that is the exception, not the rule. And that makes another honest person out of the big media business. Now, I know I've been ranking on MSNBC, CNN, and the New York Times, and I don't want you to think that I think the right-wing media is any better. Fox News is a disaster. Sean Hannity is a dinosaur. He's out of touch. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Last week, he praised Jeff Bezos for making $10 billion in one day during a pandemic. Dinosaur Hannity had this awkward exchange with Tucker Carlson, who I don't always agree with, but he's a gentleman and a scholar. Check out this awkward exchange.
Jeff Bezos just yesterday made $13 billion. Now, 20 years ago, if that had happened, if a captain of industry had made $13 billion in a single day while the country got poorer, the Democratic Party would have had something to say about it. Not anymore, because the people getting rich are members of the Democratic Party. Have a great night. And now, Sean Hannity takes over from New York.
People can make money. They provide goods and services people want, need, and desire. That's America. It's called freedom, capitalism, and as long as it's honest, right? People decide. All right, Tucker, great show.
That's a bad take, Hannity-saurus. That's a bad take. So is journalism dead? No. I clickbaited you. I'm sorry. You shouldn't have trusted me. You know I don't have a soul. Journalism is not dead, but we need to realize what big media is. They're not news. It's entertainment. It's cringy entertainment. It's fun, but we gotta know it's entertainment. It's not news. Journalism is alive and well in the smaller publications and individual journalists. Individual journalists like Andy Go, or NGO, I'm not sure how to pronounce the name, so you can call him Andy. Andy is the main source of Antifa videos and news. He brings disturbing things to light. And this doesn't come at no consequence to him. He was severely beaten and is constantly threatened. Still, he keeps bringing us disturbing videos like the ones from last night. Two old ladies trying to defend a police precinct from being burned down by Antifa. Check it out.
This isn't your world anymore!
I'll tell you what! My black friends are right here! My black friends are right here! My Spanish friends
are dying! Our black friends are dying!
You know what? We died for you!
Where? You're right now! Who's we?
We shut my door! I marched for
Everybody
died for me with my fucking border! I marched for my
You believe in him? You believe taking it back our country?
Yes, I believe it. You know what, Donald? It's not.
Put your mask on, bitch! Put your mask on!
You have to pull the can, I think. You have to pull the can out. Just let her do it. Let her do it. It's the highlight of her life. We want to see it. We want to see it. We want to see it. Pretty boring life, but I don't call this the highlight.
All comes the bastards!
Oh, mouth shut. Oh, watch out, watch your back, watch your back. Okay, it's not safe anymore. Okay.
What's wrong with these people? Like, what do they think when they go to bed? I accomplished something today. Like, what goes through their minds? As a society, we must learn to see big media as what it is. It's entertainment. And we must focus on small publications and individual journalists. And when we find them, we have to support them. Because that's the only way that America's not going to be brainwashed. Because the big media does is they show you what they want to show you. And if they have to show you something because it's just everywhere, then they're going to spin it their way. And that's just not journalism. So what do you think? Can we trust big media? Or are smaller publications and individual journalists the way of the future? Comment down below. Like, subscribe, Ginger out.